Hello and welcome to the Toshogu Podcast, where we break down the latest news, breakthroughs, and ideas shaping the future of artificial intelligence.
Right.
Imagine waking up on a Tuesday, checking your enterprise server logs, and realizing that your company's brand new AI assistant just gave away $1 million in unauthorized client discounts.
Yeah, while you slept.
Exactly. And it's running perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Zero technical error codes. So today, we're looking at how the industry is moving aggressively past building novelty chatbots.
Thank goodness.
Right. We're exploring how giants like AWS, xAI, and OpenAI are aggressively industrializing AI into reliable, governed operating systems for real businesses. We'll also cover what everyday human workers actually want based on new Google data and the urgent new AI laws taking effect in Europe. Let's begin.
It's a fascinating inflection point we're at right now because for the last few years, I mean, the focus was entirely on capability.
Just getting the models to sound smart,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Passing standardized tests, sounding human. But before a business can let these systems actually do the work of 100 people, capability just isn't enough.
Right, because of the risk.
Yeah, they need this like bulletproof infrastructure that actively prevents the machine from making these catastrophic company-ending errors. We're literally watching the foundation of enterprise AI being poured in real time.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I think a good way to visualize this shift is looking at the automotive industry.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, like building a standalone, highly capable AI agent is a bit like building a remarkably fast concept car in your garage.
Right. It looks amazing.
It looks amazing. It shatters speed records on a perfectly straight track, and you can, show it off to impress everyone. But what giants like AWS and OpenAI are doing right now is entirely different.
They're not building the concept car.
Exactly. They are building the Ford assembly line. They're building the paved highways, the synchronized traffic lights, the quality assurance protocols.
The crash test dummy facilities.
Yeah, because a concept car proves the engine works, but the assembly line proves you can build and operate it safely 10,000 times a day without someone getting hurt.
That analogy perfectly captures the engineering challenge right now. I mean, the enterprise problem is no longer proving that agents can accomplish tasks. The market knows they work.
Yeah, the novelty wore off.
Right. The immediate problem is making them reliable enough for high-value production environments, which is exactly why OpenAI is introducing this new enterprise product called Presence.
Presence. Okay, so what does that actually do?
Well, it's explicitly designed to deploy trusted agents across complex business workflows. So instead of just, giving you a text box to chat with, Presence focuses heavily on enforcing company policies.
Like guardrails.
Yeah, guardrails, and most importantly, programming the AI to know exactly when it's out of its depth.
Ah, so it knows when to tap out.
Exactly, so it can escalate the problem to a human being before it makes a mess.
Right, so it's shifting from can this AI write a polite email to can this AI be trusted with the company credit card and the client database?
Which is a massive leap.
It is, and that requires an entirely different kind of monitoring, which points to a concept that I think every business leader listening needs to wrap their head around right now.
Silent behavioral failures.
Yep, silent behavioral failures.
They are arguably the biggest threat to enterprise AI right now.
Yeah.
Because, if you look at traditional IT monitoring, an IT department monitors servers for uptime.
Uptime, latency, connection errors.
Yeah, a system is either up or it is down. But an AI agent operates differently. An agent can technically pass every single traditional IT health check.
So the servers are running great.
Maximum efficiency, incredibly low latency, perfect connection. But it's still producing the completely wrong business outcome.
Let's put a real-world scenario to that for everyone. Imagine an AI managing customer returns, right? The server latency is 20 milliseconds, which is flawless.
Perfect.
But the AI is secretly approving 100% of returns for items well past the 30-day window.
Because it's subtly misunderstood the temporal logic in the employee handbook.
Exactly. So the IT dashboard shows green lights across the board. Nobody checks on it while the company just quietly hemorrhages cash.
It's a massive success for IT and a total disaster for finance.
Right. And that is terrifying for an executive team.
Completely terrifying because the failure is totally silent until the quarterly earnings report comes out.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And this is where the new highly lucrative market isn't just about selling access to a language model anymore. It's about agent reliability in operations.
Which AWS is moving into, right?
Very aggressively. They're making massive pushes into production-grade operations. They're rolling out these end-to-end evaluation blueprints using a system called Amazon Bedrock Agent Core.
Okay, let's break down the mechanics of that, because they're also introducing something called agentic retrieval for managed knowledge bases. And for anyone listening who assumes this is just like a fancy search bar, it goes way beyond that. Because normally, a keyword search just looks for the exact word you typed in.
Yeah, Command F, basically.
Right, but agentic retrieval means the AI looks at a prompt, realizes it needs, say, Q3 revenue data from a Salesforce database and Q4 projections from a completely separate internal HR document.
And it writes its own unique queries for both of those systems.
Exactly. It fetches the data, and then it does the complex math before handing you the final answer.
It acts as an autonomous researcher rather than a simple indexer. And to prove this level of complexity can be managed safely, AWS highlighted this major case study with Jefferies.
The financial services company.
Yeah, they built an AI trade assistant. And, I mean, think about the stakes in a regulated front office environment in high finance.
Oh, there is absolutely zero tolerance for a hallucination when you're executing trades.
None. If the AI hallucinates a zero and buys 10,000 shares instead of 1,000, careers end immediately.
Yeah, the environment could not be more hostile to unverified guesswork.
Exactly. But by utilizing these new enterprise controls and evaluation blueprints, AWS reported that Jefferies actually reduced incorrect results in their pipeline from roughly 1 in 8 queries down to 1 in 50.
Wait, really? 1 in 8 down to 1 in 50? That is a staggering improvement in accuracy.
It's huge. And beyond just the accuracy, they cut the time it takes to detect an issue from several hours down to just minutes.
Wow.
That is the definition of industrialization. You have the deployment, the real-time evaluation, the failure analysis, and the governance all working together as an integrated stack.
Okay, so if you are listening to this, you might be thinking, all right, we now have this incredibly safe, heavily monitored infrastructure in place from AWS and OpenAI.
The foundation is there.
Right. But how do you actually scale the output? Because giving one employee a highly reliable agent is great, but creating massive automated digital workforces is an entirely different game.
It really is.
So let's pivot to XAI and look at what they are doing with workflows in Grok Build. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, this represents a major paradigm shift in how work is orchestrated. Because up until very recently, if you wanted multiple AI agents to collaborate on a complex task—
Like one doing research and one writing, right?
Exactly. Software developers had to manually assemble them. They had to wire the application programming interfaces together, write custom code to tell Agent A how to hand data to Agent B, and manage all the errors by hand.
Which is super fragile.
Highly technical and incredibly fragile.
But with Grok Build Workflows, that multi-agent orchestration is moving from a custom engineering project to just a native, out-of-the-box product feature.
Exactly. A user can literally describe a massive, complex task in plain natural language.
And Grok will take that single prompt, plan the entire job architecture, break it down into parallel subtasks, and fan the work out across hundreds of different specialized agents simultaneously.
Right, so Agent A does the research, Agent B writes the summary, Agent C acts as a critic to verify Agent B's work, and so on.
And then it just returns one consolidated, polished report to you, all while running quietly in the background. But wait, if I have hundreds of agents running around unsupervised, isn't that just a recipe for hundreds of simultaneous mistakes? Cost control and task duplication sounds like an absolute nightmare.
What's fascinating here is you are hitting on the exact problem the most forward-thinking engineers are wrestling with right now.
It just sounds like chaos.
Well, parallel agent workflows do drastically increase management complexity.
Yeah.
Just because a platform allows you to deploy 500 agents doesn't mean your organization has the maturity to govern them.
Right.
The technical challenge of making agents talk to each other is being solved by platforms like XAI. Therefore, the value for businesses is fundamentally shifting away from the raw technology and moving toward workflow design.
But aren't we just shifting the bottleneck then? I mean, instead of needing expensive software developers to code the individual agents, you now need highly paid consultants to design the complex workflows to keep these massive swarms of agents in check.
That is precisely where the industry is heading. The multi-agent aspect is going to become invisible infrastructure.
Really? Invisible?
Yeah, in the near future, businesses will stop buying multi-agent systems as a category because they simply won't care how many agents are running under the hood. They're going to buy completed outcome-based workflows.
Oh, I see.
The commercial focus and those consultant hours you mentioned will be spent entirely on setting up strict domain constraints,
Mm.
establishing data access controls, and designing verification rules so that the swarm of agents cannot cause that chaos you described.
Okay, so what does this all mean? We have the ability to unleash hundreds of agents at once. But just because the tech giants give enterprise leaders the button, does the everyday employee actually want them to press it?
That is the million-dollar question.
Right, let's look at the human psychology here, because forcing uncontrolled, autonomous technology onto a workforce seems like an incredibly fast way to shatter trust and completely destroy role clarity in an office.
The data strongly supports that concern, too. Google recently released their first ATLA's report, which is this major research initiative examining how people actually interact with and utilize AI in the real economy.
And what did they find?
The findings reveal a massive widening gap between what technology vendors are marketing and what everyday users are actually adopting.
Well, the vendors are highly incentivized to sell the dream of full autonomy, right? The pitch is always like, buy our software, fire your whole department, and let the AI run the show while you play golf.
Exactly. But the ATLA's report shows that real-world user adoption heavily favors assisted execution, not complete autonomy. Employees do not want to hand over their entire job function to a machine.
Yeah, they want to use AI to assist with the tedious, repetitive elements of their tasks.
Corporate buyers need measurable control to justify the investment, and employees desperately want to maintain their human judgment and authority over the final product.
Which makes perfect sense from a self-preservation standpoint. I mean, if you're an employee, you do not want a digital black box making unsupervised decisions that your personal name and reputation are attached to.
Absolutely not. And this dynamic dictates how businesses must deploy these tools, especially in regions with high workforce sensitivity or strong labor unions.
Where introducing automation is super delicate.
Right, where you need extreme care regarding role clarity. The winning strategy is not replacing employees with bots. The winning strategy is giving every single employee their own AI operating layer that augments their existing capabilities.
And to do that without causing a panic, businesses really need to structure these deployments through 3 distinct levels of autonomy, right? You can't just flip a switch in the office and declare the system fully autonomous on a Monday morning.
No, that would be a disaster.
So the 3 required levels are assist, approve, and autonomous. Let's break those down.
Sure, so level 1 is assist. In this stage, the AI analyzes a situation and recommends a course of action, but the human being actually executes it.
So the human is fully in the driver's seat.
Exactly, using the AI as a highly intelligent sounding board.
Right. And then it transitions smoothly into level 2, which is approve. This is where the dynamic shifts slightly.
Right, the AI takes on more.
Yeah, the AI does the heavy lifting. It prepares the document. It lines up the action. It drafts the response. But it absolutely cannot execute the action until a human explicitly signs off.
It needs that final click.
It's like having an overly eager golden retriever bringing you the morning newspaper, you know? You love that he fetched it, saving you a trip down the driveway, but you definitely need to check if he chewed through the sports section before you try to read it.
That is a highly accurate way to frame the psychology of the modern worker. Employees want the dog, they just want to hold the leash.
Exactly.
And finally, you reach level 3, which is autonomous. But it is critical to understand that even at this level, it is never a free-for-all.
Right, there are bounds.
Yes, the AI acts autonomously only within strictly defined narrow limits. The very millisecond it encounters an exception, a novel situation, or something it just doesn't recognize from its training, it halts.
And it escalates the issue back to a human overseer.
Immediately. Designing enterprise deployments using this specific autonomy ladder is really the only proven way to achieve real adoption without terrifying your workforce.
Building that trust is crucial internally, but, trust isn't just about an employee feeling comfortable with their AI intern. It scales up dramatically to how companies handle deeply sensitive consumer data and adhere to strict new legal frameworks.
Oh, absolutely.
The era of the Wild West AI, where developers just threw data into a model to see what happened, is ending. Look at what OpenAI is doing by rolling out a dedicated health experience in ChatGPT for users in the US.
Right. They're securely connecting the AI to personal health information, wearable device data, and fitness apps.
Which is incredibly sensitive stuff.
It is. And it illustrates a massive trend toward vertical AI. A generalized chatbot that can write a decent poem or summarize a marketing PDF is rapidly becoming a commoditized product.
Anyone can do that now.
Right. The real enterprise value is shifting toward vertical systems AI tailored for specific industries, like healthcare, law, or finance.
And those vertical systems combine highly sensitive data, persistent context over long periods of time, domain-specific reasoning, and incredibly high trust and security requirements.
The persistent context is key there.
Hmm.
If an AI is going to reason over your private health data and wearable metrics to offer lifestyle adjustments, the security, data partitioning, and factual grounding of that system have to be absolutely bulletproof.
Yeah, you cannot have a model hallucinating a medical recommendation.
No, the liability would be astronomical. And that intense demand for consumer trust brings us directly to the regulatory landscape, which is currently shifting in a very dramatic, very tangible way.
Yes, the European Union is officially moving away from abstract policy discussions and implementing hard, practical deployment rules that will impact global tech development.
And there's a specific timeline for this.
August 2, 2026. If you are involved in deploying technology at any scale, that is the date you need to circle on your calendar immediately.
That date marks when the EU AI Act, Article 50, transparency obligations begin to legally apply. And to be clear, these are not gentle suggestions or best practices.
No, they are strict legal mandates with severe financial penalties for noncompliance.
Exactly.
So what does that actually look like in practice for a business? Does this mean companies have to retroactively slap giant warning labels on their existing AI tools, like a Surgeon General's warning on a customer service chatbot?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the requirements are much more profound and technically demanding than a simple visual warning label. The new obligations require companies to explicitly and clearly inform people whenever they are interacting with an AI system.
So no more pretending it's a human.
Right, you can no longer design an agent to mimic a human to trick the user. Furthermore, you are legally required to mark certain AI-generated or manipulated content in a machine-readable format.
And there are also strict immediate disclosure rules for deepfakes, right? Or AI-generated content relating to matters of public interest.
Yes.
I want to clarify that machine-readable format requirement, though, because it sounds like technical jargon, but the implications are massive. This doesn't just mean a visible watermark on an image or text at the bottom of a page.
No, not at all.
It means writing specific cryptographic code hidden deep within the metadata of the file structure. So if an AI generates a PDF report, the metadata contains tags, so that when that file moves to another system, the receiving browser or software instantly flags it as synthetic without a human ever needing to look at it.
That is exactly the distinction that matters, and that is the critical takeaway for any business operating in or even casually serving the European market.
It changes everything about how you build.
It does. Compliance can no longer be handled as a legal appendix at the end of a software development cycle. You cannot build a brilliant AI system and then hand it over to your legal team to retroactively make it compliant before launch.
Right. Disclosure mechanisms, audit logging, machine-readable content marking, and pathways for human oversight. They all must now be designed directly into the core architectural workflow of the product from day one.
It has to be baked into the DNA of the software. And honestly, many mid-market companies right now simply do not know if their internal agents are even in scope for these upcoming rules.
Yeah, they don't know what specific disclosure language is legally acceptable or what digital records they need to retain for auditors.
Or at what exact points human review is legally required in an automated workflow. It is rapidly moving from a theoretical legal problem to a massive operational readiness problem.
And the companies that survive this transition will be the ones that recognize they aren't just deploying a clever language model. They are deploying a fully governed, legally liable AI operating system.
Excellent.
It all connects back to the central theme of industrialization. We are moving from the novelty phase of like, look what this cool technology can generate, to the rigorous operational phase of how do we run this safely, legally, and reliably at a massive scale?
Which is the real challenge.
Right. Whether we are looking at AWS building intricate evaluation pipelines to catch errors, XAI turning chaotic multi-agent swarms into invisible managed workflows, Google's data proving that humans demand augmentation over full replacement, or the European Union legally forcing transparency into the code itself, The Wild West is over.
The assembly line is here.
The assembly line is here. Which brings us to a final thought for you to mull over as you look at your own organization. We've talked extensively today about evaluating these new agents and actively preventing those silent behavioral failures we discussed earlier.
The ones that pass the IT check but fail the business check.
Exactly. But as these digital systems become more and more complex, interwoven into the very fabric of your company's daily operations and decision-making processes, ask yourself this. How will your company monitor an AI that is technically functioning perfectly on the server side, but is subtly, quietly making the wrong business decisions in the dark?
We are officially entering the era of behavioral observability.
And if your organization cannot clearly see how your AI behaves when nobody is looking, you are flying completely blind into the future of work.
That's all for today's episode of the Toshogu Podcast. If you enjoyed it, like this episode, subscribe, and join us next time for the latest in AI. Until then, keep building what outlives you.